Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Orange County Funding Court meeting for December 18th of 2024. The meeting is 5:04 p.m. on the 18th. I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Bill.
Jeffrey Christ.
Here.
Dean Tamburri.
Here.
Susan Walski.
Here.
Linda Muller.
Here.
And we have another member that will join us shortly, but we have 4 out of 7 that are here. For staff, myself, Bill Garavanti, Kelly Riley, Marty Perez, Mr. Jose Rojas doing audiovisual. We also have our general counsel, Nino Sharetta, Rudy Zoda. We have our bond counsel, Dan Birmingham, and our New York State monitor, Brian Sandage.
Thank you. And I will point out the proof of notice for this meeting was properly documented, and it's in our packet for tonight. The minutes from our November 20th, 2024 board meeting, I'd like to ask for any comments, and if not, a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion, thank you. Second to that motion?
Second.
Thank you, Susan and Linda. Any other comments on that? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Moving into the committee reports. Finance Committee, I'm going to cover that briefly. Mark Green was in attendance at the Finance Committee meeting a few minutes ago. He had an obligation come up. He's hoping to join us shortly. But we did the approval of the November 2024 financials, as well as the approval of the November-December payables. They're in both the Finance Committee packet as well as the board member packet tonight. If anyone has questions on those, I'll be happy to do my best to answer them or ask Bill to. And that's really, I'd kind of like to do those approvals now. Is that okay, Bill?
Sure.
Even though it's considered new business, we okay with that?
That's fine. Take them both together?
Yes.
As we've been doing.
Ask for a motion to accept those at the approval of the committee.
I'll make the motion. There you go.
Motion by Linda, second.
Second.
Susan, thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. The one other discussion point out in the Finance Committee for OCFC was discussion on a certificate of deposit that's due on the 12th of January 2025, and we decided to fine-tune that decision at our committee meeting on January 15th, and the board can take action on that same night afterwards. So we are discussing the best way to organize our commitment for the generator of the food bank to make sure we have the funding when that becomes available to make the payment for $250,000. Unless anyone has a question, that completes the Financial Committee report and the actions required. Any other questions? Moving on to Governance Committee. Linda,
Sure.
please.
Happy to. There's a report in your packet, but what we're working on right now is to ensure that our bylaws and our HR policies are correct and meet standards, and our council is reviewing those.
And then I'll just, well, the UTIP comes for the next one, so,
Yes.
yeah. Nothing else to add.
Any questions for Linda? And I don't think we need to take action on that.
Just
committee
report.
Thank you, Linda. Moving on to our next item is the Ice Time Facility Resolution. And Lino, were you gonna lead us on that?
Sure, there was a resolution that was passed supporting, I guess, I have it right here. So, given that there was, I guess, a change in relationship with Ice Time Arena and the professional hockey team that was sought, and that's no longer come to fruition, you had passed a resolution initially authorizing that particular expenditure in that project, but since now that relationship is now ceased, you need a resolution to undo it. So that's what this resolution is.
It's unfortunate, I'll just add, that things deteriorated after we made our commitment. So much to the point that the team is barred from the facility right now. And it's a he said, she said. We've heard both sides, one blaming the other. It's a shame. It's a terrible shame. We were there. Our support is very much appreciated. I've heard that from all parties involved, but I don't think it makes sense for us to move forward the way things are constituted. So
Any chance of a reconciliation between the parties?
it doesn't appear so, but there are talks about another group coming to try and either take ownership of the team or bring a different team here, all of that. But the deal that we approved, that we, would be a part of, is no longer.
What a shame. What a shame for the
It
residents.
is terrible.
Yeah, and the reason why we did it by resolution, to undo it, you have to do the same fashion. So that's why you have the resolution tonight terminating that relationship.
So we would need a motion, I presume, and maybe a roll call vote
Sure.
on that decision. So would anyone care to make the motion to accept the resolution of revocation of resolution? That's a mouthful.
So that fast 3 times.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Dean, second.
I'll second it.
Susan, thank you. And I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Jeffrey Christ,
In favor?
Dean Tamburri,
Yes.
Susan Walski,
Yes.
Linda Muller.
Yes.
Okay, 4 ayes. Motion passed.
Thank you. Disappointing for sure.
Yes.
It is.
And lastly, bylaws discussion. Linda, you're on again. Please.
We had council review the bylaws for the funding corporation, and their report back to the committee was that they are in order. They're recommending no changes to the bylaws, so as a year-end cleanup, I would ask that we do we have to acknowledge, or we have to do a motion to?
No, you can just acknowledge that we've reviewed it, and because you're not taking any action, we're recommending that it stay the same. So no motion required, just to report that we've looked at it,
Okay.
and we've opined that it should remain the same.
Okay.
Thank you. Linda, any questions on that?
No, I just want to thank Linda, whatever, I mean, going through it, just reinforced everything that we do and what we're doing here, and thank you, so it's good to know that we're all in
Absolutely.
good shape.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you.
It might be a good time to just note the board at the request of Giovanni, an absent board member tonight, asks that we get hard copies of the OCFC agency policies as well as the Orange County IDA. And that's partly in preparation to do our normal policy reviews at the beginning of the year at our January meeting. Anything else need to come before us today?
Yes, sir.
Unless
someone has something else to bring up,
A motion to adjourn.
request a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Linda. And a second to that motion.
Second.
By Dean. Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. And I'll close the OCFC meeting for today, December 18th at 5:12. Thank you.
We get an update from Mark on his
Yeah.
time.
As we can take a quick Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Orange County IDA meeting for December 18th, 2024. The time is 5:14 PM. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask for a roll call, please.
Jeffrey Chris.
Here.
Dean Tamburri.
Here.
Susan Walsky.
Here.
Linda Muller.
Here.
4 of 7 members present. As far as staff, myself, Bill Fioravanti, Kelly Riley, and Marty Barres, Mr. Jose Rojas doing AV. We have General Counsel Lino Sharetta and Rudy Zoda, and Bond Counsel Dan Birmingham, and our New York State Monitor Brian Sandage.
Thank you, Bill. Approval of the minutes. They're on page 4 of our packet. Any additions, corrections, or a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Linda, second to that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Susan, with the second. Unless there's any other discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. I'm in favor as well. Motion carried. Moving on to my chairman's report. I have it here on my screen. The Orange County Board of Ethics communicated to Bill and I recently and asked that we make just an announcement to board members that financial disclosure is due each year on May 1st. Kelly put a copy of that in a packet that Bill is going to discuss in a few minutes about Board of Director annual documents. So I attended a rural roundtable, which I announced at our previous meeting with Tom DiNapoli, but I put down a few specific comments since our last meeting. It was a interesting and I felt a valuable roundtable where the controller was taking input on agricultural and rural issues. I think I mentioned at the previous meeting there were pretty serious formal documents on both those subjects. I believe they're available on the website for the state controller. If anyone has trouble finding those, I'm sure we can help. One of the interesting points was the importance of workforce development as well as availability of workforce housing. And one thing I know I didn't mention at the last meeting, one participant pointed out there's 65 million people in a radius of, I forget how they termed it, a day's travel radius that need to be fed. And tied in with the importance of agriculture and producing food to feed the people of the region. I thought that was an interesting way to phrase it. I also attended a business roundtable at the Business Council of Westchester offices on December 6th. And Bill's going to talk about it a little bit more, but it's looking at a blueprint of economic competitiveness in New York State and ways to make New York more competitive. It, again, was a small group of 20 people, and we went around the table and discussed opportunities and challenges for economic development in New York State that I also found interesting, in that there was quite a consensus of challenges in New York on everything from the seeker process, which is the State Environmental Quality Review Act. I know from my days on planning board that can be very involved in documents of hundreds of pages. So there was some expectation and hope that that could be revamped and modernized. I don't know how imminent that might be. And as always comes up, infrastructure improvements related to water, sewer, power, highways, and one I found kind of fascinating, public transportation. And one participant pointed out, north-south public transportation is quite good, but if you want to go east-west after you get to a train station in Beacon or Salisbury Mills, getting that last mile, public transportation is probably pretty challenging. And that's my report, unless anyone has a question.
I find it interesting. Are they going to have any follow-up meetings for this?
Good point. Maybe, well, I guess, I don't know if that's in this document.
They don't specify exactly when, but there will be, I don't know if there'll be further roundtables. I think they're having them around the state. I think they're trying to collect that,
The
you know,
data.
feedback, and feedback from all the stakeholders involved. And then there will be various iterations, I think, of the plan.
Okay.
And that they'll put this blueprint together, and we'll see, I think we'll see some output of it before it's done. That's my understanding.
It might be discussed too at the EDC in February as well.
Right.
Exactly,
So,
at
Good
the
point.
conference that Jeff and I'll be attending.
We'll be there too.
They're hoping to have that summary of suggestions and report completed by late January, early February, which would be right timely
Yep.
for that
I think-
conference.
Are they gonna present it at the Association of Towns meeting that takes place in February as well?
Good question.
I don't think so. Association of Towns?
Yeah, the Association of Towns and Villages has their big yearly meeting
Yeah.
from, I think it's the 14th through the 17th this year, down in Manhattan.
Oh, right, exactly. And, you know, I don't know if they'll plan to plug into that. That's a good question, right, their annual conference. I don't believe so, I haven't heard that, but I can ask.
Only reason I ask it is because ultimately, this is where that trickles down to.
Right.
Hmm.
Mm.
Good point. It did get brought up by the people leading the meeting that there would be roundtables in other parts of New York State. It wasn't clear to me any other have happened yet,
Mhm.
but they have to be pretty imminent if they're gonna wrap this up in a month and a half, so.
Yeah,
Right.
okay, thank you for the information.
You're welcome. Bill, your CEO report, I know that's documented in our packet.
Yes, my full report is in your packet. Just a couple of things. One, I did want to just kind of underscore about the binders. Those are in front of you. They're for you to take home. They are, the policies for OCIDA and OCFC are all in there, but they're separated into two sections. At the back are frankly our newer, either newer policies or policies that we've recently reviewed. So they're just there for your information and your reference. And the first section is really what we've charged the governance committee with reviewing in January. So, and their homework begins now. So that first section, I think there are 10 of them that are in that binder. So, but that's your Bible to take with you and bring it as you see fit. And we'll continue to, the UTEP is not in there because it's about to be, you know, approved in a new version. We'll add that to the very end. That's the only document that's missing right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good reference tool. You also have those, the ethics folders that Jeff was referring to. I am gonna ask Kelly if she doesn't mind, just to kind of tell you what your instructions are for this.
If you go inside the folder, I put in an instruction page. So you have to initial and date or sign and date the acknowledgement of fiduciary responsibilities and duties for both IDA and OCFC. The certificate of independence for both entities. There's a conflict of interest policy document as well as a code of ethics document that includes both entities in one, so you only have to sign the one. And then the last one is a confidential evaluation of board performance for one for IDA and OCFC. You have to fill them out and you have to bring them back here, whether you want to fold them or whatever, and drop them off someplace. And we have to tally it up and send it into the ABO.
Thank you, Kelly.
I do have a question. One of the documents for the independence of the members, it says in witness whereof. Does this have to be signed in front of somebody else, or you're just gonna witness them when you receive them back?
That was always, I used to notarize them in front, if they signed in front of me, I could do that, or I can notarize it afterwards, because I know everybody's signature, okay?
Thank you. And when do these need to be returned by?
The next board meeting would be great.
Thank you.
And my last item is just as I put in the report, we're having just an informal holiday gathering at La Casa Vecina, basically just around the corner on Route 207 here. I'm hoping you can join us for some food and cheer. That's it.
Questions for Bill? I had one, is there anything to add on the brownfield assessment grant?
Do I have hard fund there? What that is in here, right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we did hire someone to help us with administration for the EPA Brownfield grant, so that's great. It's RF Khan, who helped us with the beginning of Fast New York. Unfortunately, that one's still in neutral. So we do have that, and we're now gonna really be getting going. So you're gonna hear more real progress on that one. The first major step is to draft an RFP to find a qualified environmental professional, they call it a QEP, to actually do the assessment work. So I'll start accelerating now.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate the detail of your reports. I'd like to skip over Finance Committee for a moment. Still hopeful Mark Green will make the meeting to provide that report, and move down to Governance Committee.
Sure.
Linda Mullen, please.
So I'm just still new at this, and I'm trying to get used to how to present the minutes. So we had a meeting on 12/11/24 that have to be presented at the next Governance Committee meeting before I can to discuss those. So what I can tell you are open items is on the bylaws for IDA is we'll come back to you with some suggestions on the mission statement, on the position of officers that needs to be cleaned up, and we should get that done at the next governance meeting. Additionally, the council is reviewing our HR policies. There are some things that are in the HR policies that I don't believe are still relevant in today's time. So those hopefully will be back to us at our next governance meeting, and that's scheduled for when?
February. I don't have that date. I have to get my calendar.
That's
for that
fine.
date.
So in February, so that we'll discuss those at the next meeting.
February 12th.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
And were we thinking about moving that meeting, or that's another discussion?
We're gonna have to, because you.
Oh, right,
that
yeah.
conference.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd like to talk about a different meeting date.
Great, we'll do that. We'll do that.
It's the
Prefer
same
you on
with
that.
the ZDC.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, we have to do that.
Questions for Linda?
You do that too, right? No?
Yeah, thank you for all your work on that.
Yes.
I feel like I haven't gotten it done as quickly as it should get done.
Welcome to governance.
That's probably why I never ran for office. Bill, you were gonna do an update on the UTEP.
UTEP, yeah, so our uniform tax exemption policy, our revision process is still proceeding. We're in a great place now. We have a final version. We presented some revisions, a new draft after some previous revisions. I presented that to Governance Committee. And then our general counsel had some typographical errors that they saw and a couple other suggestions they made. So we've made those changes now. It's in its final form. Just waiting to get it back from our former general counsel, who's technically still handling this process, Susan Katzoff. And then we're going to notify all the affected taxing jurisdictions as we're required to. And we're going to be announcing that the board will consider approval of the UTEP at our next board meeting on January 15th. So there technically has to be a public hearing at that time, where just anyone could come and make comment relative to the UTEP. So we're looking for full adoption on January 15th.
So you're gonna have your public hearing the same time as the meeting?
Yes, it's
And then just
basically.
close it and-
It just has to be at that time. You have to allow public comment.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying you're gonna open up a public
Yeah.
hearing and close it and then have a vote.
We're not anticipating major pushback, so we plan to do it at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, which is allowed. And that's it for UTEP.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Linda. I'd like to move into new business and down to the Royal Line sales tax exemption extension, and we have Dan Berman here to help us with that, since our regular attorney has a conflict on that project.
Sure, thank you. The agency is in receipt of a letter dated December 5th from Royal Line. You may recall that's a project that the IDA has not only induced but authorized, and in fact, they're wrapping up their phase one of a two, perhaps phase three type project. Phase one just dealt with the shell of the facility. It's a winemaking and storage operation, and they're simply asking in their December 5th letter to extend their sales tax time to use the sales tax exemption through, it expires December 31st, 2024, and they're asking to extend that through June 30th, 2025. It's nothing unusual that comes up in something like this. I think that IDA has done this before. They do give, like the letter goes into brief description why. The resolution before you authorizes the extension through through June 30th, 2025, but it's conditioned on there being no events of default outstanding as of tonight. The company's confirmation that all insurance that they need to carry on the project is still in force. And there's 2 or 3 others, it's in section 1B of the resolution, just things that are contingent on the approval of this. I'm sure everything's in good order for that, so it's before you tonight for your consideration.
And I'll just add that construction does continue to move along swiftly. It's a tremendous project, a large project. I've been there just a couple of weeks ago, so things are progressing. They think they'll be able to wrap up late spring, so that's why they've requested a little safety net to go through June 30.
When are they supposed to open? Weren't they supposed to have that operational next year?
They still have to finish their internal build out of the facility, so they expect to do that in the calendar year. But phase 1 will be completed by June 30th.
Well, that's the biggest part of it.
It is. So all the site work and the building envelope is being explained.
Unless there's any other questions, I think we need a motion and a roll call vote for that resolution, if anyone would care to make the motion.
Make a motion.
Motion to support the resolution by Susan, second to that motion.
I'll second
It's not a lot of choices. Second by Dean. And I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Jeffrey
vote.
Christ,
I'm in favor.
Dean Tamburri,
it. Yes.
Susan Walsky,
Yes.
Linda Muller.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you for that, board members, and Dan Birmingham.
Thank you, Dan.
The New York State Economic Blueprint, Bill.
Yes, this is what we touched on earlier, the roundtable discussion that Jeff was at. I will just point out a couple of things from the one pager that included in your packet. The objective is to provide policy recommendations to the legislature and the governor that address New York's competitiveness with the goal of making New York more affordable, reversing out migration, and supporting economic growth and opportunity. They hired an economist to put together data and assemble recommendations with significant input from stakeholders via the roundtable discussions we talked about. Content will focus on current and future competitiveness and will cover job creation, innovation, research and development, education, entrepreneurial activity, business climate, infrastructure, exports, regulatory, environment, energy, and other areas we identify. It will produce a competitive analysis of New York, focusing on workforce issues, best practices, and a strategic action agenda. I will note, include a review of existing state plans, reports, and existing and newly developed statistical data. So it's not just, it's pulling other studies and plans off the shelf, so they're not just starting from scratch. This is an initiative of, again, New York State Economic Development Council, which is, I consider, our trade association, and the Business Council of New York State. It's an important initiative, and I think as one of their member agencies, I'm looking to provide that same support. They were looking for $5,000 to start this project from their member agencies, and that's what I'm asking for approval for this evening. I will mention that I did have this included in the budget for other potential purposes for New York State EDC sponsorships or whatever it might be, but we have $5,000 in the 2024 budget that could be earmarked for this.
And I believe it was a recommendation by the Finance Committee too.
Yes, it was.
Forward to the board.
We don't have that in our report yet, but yes, it was a recommendation to support it by the Finance Committee. Unanimous approval.
Thank you for adding that point, Linda.
Yes.
And any questions for Bill on the economic blueprint? You okay, Susan?
Yeah, I'm just,
It's a lot too, I'm sorry.
Do we need a motion for the $5,000 or no?
I think we'll,
You don't need a motion for that. If you-
a separate motion?
Yeah.
Okay, why don't we do that right now? And 3 of the committee members are here
I'll make
where
a
we
motion.
discussed it.
I'll make
And,
the motion.
Motion by Linda, second?
Second.
Second by Dean. And I would say the Finance Committee supported that expenditure of $5,000.
okay, that's good to know.
So unless there's other discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. And I'm in favor, motion carried. Lease extension for 4 Karate Lane.
Okay, yeah, just as a reminder, most of you remember when we went through this process, but leading up to April a couple of years ago, we researched other locations that we could go into. You remember that, Susan? And we decided to stay here. We did take a smaller footprint that did not include our committee room and our server room. But recently, we approached the landlord saying, we need that space because we have been using it, because they're marketing it along with the adjacent space next to it. So we want to be clear, we're gonna need that space. The other thing that we were looking to accomplish was replace our carpet now that we're staying here, because there are stains in a lot of places here, and if you see them under yours, but there are in the offices out front, next door. It's about 20 years old. And in discussing that with the landlord, he said that they would replace the carpet free of charge if we would be willing to extend our lease another 2 years. So our current lease would expire in April of 2026, so a year from this April coming up. And then it would be moved out to April of 2028. But they would be extending it at the exact same rental rate, and those terms would not change. So just for the additional square footage of 500 and change square feet. So basically looking to extend that another 2 years. We are looking to stay here. We are happy here, and we just want to make it, you know, the nicest home we can. I will say that the finance committee did vote to recommend that we extend our lease to April of 2028.
Question?
Sure.
Sure.
Why is it so short, the lease? Typically, commercial leases are much longer than 2 years.
That's what we agreed to, 3 years at the time.
Right.
That was a figure that we were comfortable with here, and I approached the landlord, and they were agreeable to it. So the 2 years is just the extension for the carpet, really. He's looking for a 2-year additional commitment to do the carpet. That's why.
We're not looking for a longer one than that?
I think, at least in the committee discussion, it seemed like that was at our comfort level, really, was it something like 2028, which is, you know, 3 years from this coming April, so almost 3.5 years from now.
So same price for 5 years, I mean, you can't really argue that, especially the way commercial rents can be accelerated very quickly.
But that's something that's
And
up for
that
discussion.
thought did come up in finance committee that our rate is quite respectable. We did not discuss extending it, asking to extend it beyond the extra 2 years.
No, we did not. That was the request of the landlord, was the 2-year extension. And our rate is about $18.50 a square foot per year, which is.
Yeah, I remember that's when we,
Oh, that-
because they came in better than when we were trying to get.
Exactly.
So I believe we would need a vote on that action as well for you to sign
Yes.
the extension. If anyone would care to make that motion.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Linda to extend the lease for this office space. Second to that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Susan. Second. If there's no other discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, and I'm in favor as well, so that motion carries. We're ready for a new website demonstration, which the website we've been working on for a while.
Mhm.
It also was, we were working on it before the recommendation from Anshin, but it's also in their recommendations that there's things that could be improved on our current website. So Bill.
Great, I'm just gonna give you a quick run through, I don't wanna take too much time on this, but this is a look at the new website. You see it's very clean, it's fresh, it's colorful, it's got our new branding in there. At the top, you'll always see our contact information on the top right. Again, our logo that includes the NY, just in case anyone gets confused in which Orange County we're talking about. And then you see at the top our menu items here. And this is just designed for who's coming to our site and for what most commonly. Incentives is what we want them to be coming here for. Many are coming looking for information on past or current projects that the IDA has before us. Information on news, latest news on the IDA. Some are often looking for meetings, want to either watch a video or find out when our next meetings are coming. And then you can have our full calendar. Documents is also very popular. People coming looking for, say, a copy of Royal Wine's application or something like that. So you can find all of that, and of course, full contact. This is a bar that will normally not be there, that we'll put up if we had, say, a sudden change, if we had to cancel a meeting or we're postponing it, and this will go right up. And our staff has complete ownership of all of this, and using a WordPress site, we make all the changes. We even plan to rotate these photographs and everything, and we can do that very easily on our own. So this is the kind of the first banner here. You can right away, you can submit an application. And I will say it's designed in what they call parallax, where everything is viewed on a mobile site now. You know, over 50% of everything, every surfing everyone's doing is on a mobile device. So basically, this is designed so that you can stay on the main homepage and cover a lot of the different areas. For example, as you scroll down, there's opportunities to jump right to these different pages. I won't do it yet because I don't want to jump around too much. Our mission statement and our vision, it's all right here. You're able to view the enabling statute as well, to see what created us. Here's a quick banner of logos of businesses we work with. When we add a few more, this will start to rotate. Here are some case studies and initiatives. Legoland was obviously a hallmark project for us, so we have a synopsis on that. Royal Line as well, and also what we did in Warwick Valley. Just some opportunity to give some examples of the impact that the IDA has had. Speaking of impact, this is another little section that just details different ways that we impact the community, job creation, our own vision, new taxes that we're generating, enhancements to the community, so that's all in here. We've got our full team here and board and staff. You see when you hover over, it says who the name and the title of the individual is, and you are able to click and give me information. I'll get back to that in just a second. Here's our news and announcements section. Recent additions here, including recent story on the brownfield, and you see one when Lyndon joined us. And then lastly here, you can enter your email address to get on for further updates for us. And here is a spam-free contact form that you can use and send a message to us. And at the bottom, at the footer here, you have even more agenda items. I happen to like this FAQ section that's here, which is nice. What is an IDA? How do we help businesses? All this information is in here. It's very helpful, and some of it include even links to our UTEP and other things like that. And then this is a whole section about FAQs about OCIDA incentives, exactly why we give incentives. This is a really great section that we didn't have before. Let me show just a couple of things. Our board page. Board members. I think I do need those glasses. Thanks, Mark. You see we've got descriptions of staff and board members, along with all of our pertinent documents, even a link to our social media network, our profile there. I will say that everyone submitted bios, some longer than others. We ran these through AI, and it's a little bit shortened, so that's a typical. Smart. Yep, that's something that's typically done, and I think in the end it was a good idea that we did that. Let me go to things like incentives. This summarizes what our incentives are. It specifically shows the different tools that we have: SDE, mortgage recording tax exemption, pilots, property tax abatements, even tax exempt revenue bonds. You'll notice that all the call to actions are right there if you want to download our UTIP, if you want to actually download the IDA application, as well as our fee schedule. And then because tax exempt revenue bonds go through OCFC, it's a different button for that application. That's incentives. Let me go to meetings now. This is a nice feature, and I think even more nicely organized. This is all our recent meetings. So this will be right here, for example, our last governance committee meetings, and then past meetings are right here. If I go, for example, this is our last OCIDA board meeting. Gives a little description. And you could start to view the meeting right away.
Order the Orange County Industrial Development Agency meeting.
So very helpful. And then just two more sections, I'll show you our projects. The idea is to make it more transparent, so people coming for any information on any project, they can find it. So right away it lists all of our projects. We will start to add logos, and this will be replaced with these initials will be replaced with logos. You've got a little description of what the project is. When you click on it, you get your full synopsis. We talked about job creation and such, and every document that you need related to that project is available. You can search for types of incentives. You want to see who just got a pilot, you do that, and now it's displaying only those that have a pilot. We can also look at what types of industry, what type of project it is, what specific sector it is. For example, in amusements, and it will only pull up those. And we can sort it, and you can search by just entering a keyword as well. Last one is documents. I won't go too far into that, but this is a list of all of our documents, and you can search by type of document, by the actual name of the document, You can search by year,
Mhm.
and of course you can use the keyword. So there's a lot of information, and it's really user-friendly to get
Yes.
to it. I think that's mostly what I want to show. I do have the link in my board report if you want to check it out yourself. This is just a staging location for it. It's not actually live out there. You have to seek to get it. But we are still doing a little more testing and cleaning some things up. But we expect to launch this month by the end of the year. So in New Year, we'll have this new website out there.
Well done.
Thanks.
Questions for
Pleased with it.
Bill?
Will you be able to live stream onto that?
Yes, you'll click on the meeting, the current meeting, and you go right to YouTube and watch the live stream.
So
Through the
it's
website
like
you will.
right now, somebody would be able to watch it?
Yes, I can't show you that the way this is linked up, but yes, that will
Okay,
be
and
the
what about
case.
when we do the public hearings?
The public hearings, they will also be in the list of meetings. You'll be able to go on and click and watch those as well.
While they're ongoing?
Yes, that way you go to, it will take you to the YouTube link so you can watch the live stream.
Okay,
Yeah, because it won't live stream through the site technically, but you can go from the site right to our live stream, our YouTube channel and watch the live stream.
So, but we don't live stream, we don't do the public hearings ourselves, do we? We use the townships, is that who does it?
No, it's
We
our
do-
live stream.
we do it
Yeah,
as well?
yeah,
Okay.
yep. Acquisitions helps us with that. They do.
Okay.
Yep, they do it as well. Any other questions?
I think there was a recommendation about something we can do on fraud protection.
We do have, that's actually one of the things we still have to do. That was a
Okay, on the
recommendation.
website, good.
Exactly.
And are the meeting dates loaded on there now?
Yes.
Teeing up our next topic tonight?
I'm not sure of that, actually.
I went and looked, it seemed to have,
I think we have to
Something-
complete this as well.
that wasn't accurate and like a Saturday meeting.
Yeah, I think this actually still has to be fully
Loaded up,
populated.
okay.
Yes. Yes.
Got it.
You know, now what you just said, Jeff, I don't know why, but just, a lot of companies, do we have anything like a cybersecurity type of policy at all? Is that something we should, maybe it's not even for this meeting, but Jeff said something that, I don't know
Yeah.
why, but it made me think of it or whatever, but, maybe the security of the site, I don't know.
I think that's something that we frankly need to take a
It may
closer
not
look
be
at.
at this
'Cause
meeting,
now
but
we're-
I think we should.
All sorts of organizations are encountering that threat. They're encountering
I
that
mean,
threat.
it's, I mean, you guys know what goes on, it's just holding people ransom to me.
Yes.
It's
Okay, thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
On the new meeting, or the 2025 meeting schedule, I just wanted to raise attention to that. We had, over the last couple of months, tried to find a better week than this week, and we thought we were keying in on possibly the fourth week of each month, but for one board member, that wasn't gonna work, so I think we need to just revisit that. We do have meetings scheduled for the next 6 months, doesn't mean they can't be adjusted on dates. And as we're thinking this through, I'd like to kind of complete the year on meeting schedule, at least through the end of 2025.
Yeah, I think I have to poll each of you individually. I did that once before, and then somebody gave me, they said they looked at their calendar wrong, so we had everybody on the same page, but now we're kind of back to the drawing board, which is a little frustrating. It's my least favorite part of the job, frankly, is scheduling this, but I'm gonna have to re-poll all of you and just find out what your availability is. Giovanni's a little tricky, but I have all his information. He knew he wouldn't be here, so I'll contact each of you and see if we can line it all up.
Wrangling people.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'd like to point out Mark Green has joined our Orange County IDA meeting. Welcome, Mark.
Just in
I'm
time.
very sorry.
Yeah, well,
Apologize, Mr. Chairman.
you came back at an opportune time because the meeting is complete except for the Finance Committee and new business items related to Finance Committee. So if you could give your Finance Committee report, and then we'll move into accepting the financials and the payables, and mention the CD, and finally the deferred compensation retirement fund agenda item. And I can,
Yeah,
that's
kind of
kind
into it, I guess, Mark. You better
of
step
hitting
back.
you cold.
Yeah, my, I don't have my note in front of me. So, For the IDA, there is, I do want to point out several things, you know, for Susan, because everyone else is there, but Susan, we discussed several things, but one, we have a lot of increased expenses, if you look at page 12 real quick, for legal reasons. Closing one, moving on to the other. Some other things that have occurred, as we've mentioned in the past, the unfortunate situation where we have with the, I apologize, starts with an M.
Monitoring?
No,
Mediacom.
Mediacom,
Yes.
and working that through. So you'll see some heightened expenses there. A lot of the other ones were somewhat in line, but some of the other things that we do need to talk about are extending our lease in this facility.
We did that.
We already did that.
You already did that?
Yep.
So, all right, so beautiful. Why don't you tell me what else has been done? I won't, no, I'm kidding, I'm sorry.
We approved the economic blueprint at $5,000.
Fantastic. As far as the CD goes, the CD comes due January 12th. Our meeting is January 15th. So we decided to wait, especially now that interest rates have changed today, that we'll wait until the board meeting on the 15th. It's only a 2 or 3 day lag. It's not like we're going to
You
lose.
usually have a 10-day holdover anyway
Yeah.
with CDs.
So, so that's where we are. We do have, now I just lost my train of thought. I apologize. Was there anything I forgot, Mr. Chairman, that we chatted about?
I think you covered the important items, and we'll need to consider adopting the Finance Committee recommendations on financials and payables for November and December.
Yes, so, I mean, we already approved that, so I don't.
So, yeah, if you approved it at your meeting, you know, I'm not gonna sit here and make you go through it all again. That's why we have separate subcommittees.
Yes, absolutely.
So we need a motion to approve?
Yes, the November 2024 financials as well as the November, December payables, which were approved in committee, recommended for adoption at the board level.
I'll make
So,
the motion.
Motion by Linda, second to that motion.
Second.
Thank you, Dean. If there's no other discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. And I think the one other item, Mark, is that we did not cover is the compensation adjustment.
Do we need to?
I think you just need to,
Yeah, if everyone concurs with that in the committee, you just need to make the motion here in this, on the same motion you made in the committee you made.
with the same level of
Same
detail.
level.
It was sent
Yes,
out to us
that's
though.
it.
I reviewed it in the email.
It's slightly,
No,
it's slightly
It's
different.
changed. I just don't feel comfortable, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman, without, even if we go into exec session for 5 minutes,
Well, I
just
did
don't feel
discuss with Susan between meetings.
Yes, Jeff and I had a brief discussion over it.
Thank you.
So, we would just need to make the motion about the compensation adjustment for 2 employees. Number K00875 and D00868. And the numbers for each of those were 15,000 and the other one was 4,774. Would anyone care to make that motion?
I'll happily make the motion.
Thank you, Linda. Second, Dean? If there's no other discussion, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Excellent. Thank you for
Thank you.
jumping in on all of that. And I believe that completes our agenda for tonight for the IDA. Anything else?
That's it.
Motion to adjourn, please.
Motion.
By Susan, second. You good, Dean?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.